Last week we have discussed about the 5 habits which we need to do in order to improve our learning skills. And based on some feedbacks, some critical feedbacks, I received that the quality of the video and the quality of the sound or the audio of the video was quite bad. Therefore, we have worked on the new video and we have worked on the same video with the new quality with a better audio quality as well. Enjoy it.
Learning perhaps the most important habit we can include in our life. Whether you're the student, learner, or entrepreneur, it's vital in order to go ahead. If you're a student right now, you're one of the luckiest person in the world. The only job you have to do is to be a learner, to be a good learner. When you start doing a real job in the future, do not give up with this task. Continue learning on any stage of your life. There are a lot of videos, articles in the YouTube and all around the internet which explains the importance of the learning process. But today we are going to discuss about something different, something which will help us to learn more effectively. Today we are going to learn about the 5 habits which we need to stop doing while learning, which is wasting our time during the learning process and can turn anyone in any stage into a great learner. Let's listen to these 5 habits from a Professor Candace Thille from Stanford University, who has spent a lot of time on learning process, how we can make the learning more effective. Highlighters are the waste of the time. If I had one chance to do anything to the students, I will take away the highlighters from them, says Candace Thille, a professor from Stanford University. Instead of mindlessly underlining everything, it's better to paraphrase all the sentences into the language which you understand, into your own language, which will make a sense for you. Students are usually spending a lot of time on the things which is easy for them, and they're discouraging themselves from the task which is hard for them. But as you know, we have to switch our weakness into the strength in the SWOT analysis. And the only way of doing it, we have to work on our weakness. We have to spend a lot of time on the subject which is difficult for us. We have to spend a lot of tasks, a lot of time on the things which will make us much more stronger. Spending a lot of time on the things which is easy for you will not reveal the full potential. Often students think, if I can move through something really quickly, that means that I learned it. And things that are hard for me, things that I struggle with, I am not learning. This mentality leads the students to prioritize their time incorrectly. Really engaging in the things that are hard and seem confusing is a much better strategy than focusing on the information that are already inside, says Professor Thille. I think most of the students knows about this, but they're still doing it. And it might be effective if you want to have an examination for the next day and you want to just get the good marks. But if you want to use that information for a longer period and if you want to obtain this information for your real life situations, you have to avoid this habit. Once you'll have this habit to cramming all the information, all the learning process, you'll have the same habit in your real life as well while you start doing work, while you start doing your own job. And of course, this will lead you to the depression. That's why try to avoid the cramming. That's one of the bad habits which you need to stop immediately. However, if you're trying to learn something because you actually want to put it into use later on, then spacing your studying and spacing your practice is much more better for long-term learning, says Professor. We have to keep up looking for the critical feedbacks. Usual students or workers, employees, they are looking for the reassurance instead of critical feedbacks. Once you learn about your weakness, then you can convert them into the strength. And the students who learn about the SWOT analysis, the most difficult part of the SWOT analysis is to find out your weakness. And in order to find out your weakness, you have to look up for the critical feedbacks. The same method that you can find in Richard Feynman's techniques as well, which we are going to discuss in the future, who was one of the greatest teachers in the world. When it comes to learning, listening to positive feedback is not always useful. Students often already know what their strengths are. The other thing that I would love for students to get is that the intelligence is not fixed, says Professor. There aren't such things like a math people or literature people. Our brain doesn't differentiate both of these things. It depends on how we accept this task. If you go back to the second point, we have to continue persisting on the tasks which are tough for us, which are difficult for us. Let's assume you want to have the math examination for the next week. And instead of studying the math, if you'll spend a lot of time in the literature, which is easy for you, then of course you will fail for the math examination. Or of course you have to cram all the information for the last day of the study. Instead of doing that one, trust in yourself and know that you can learn everything. Everyone can learn everything. It's not that your brain is wired wrong and you just can't do it. It's just going to be a struggle and you need to practice and persist, but you will be able to get it.